Hello everyone, this is Abhishek Mohanty and welcome to lecture number 1 of the third chapter of the class 12 physics syllabus, and the chapter name is current electricity. So students, in class 10 all of you have studied about electricity. You have some idea about what is electric current, what is potential difference, the relation between electric current and potential difference, which is Ohm's law, what is resistance, what is resistivity, the heating effect of electric current, and the electric power, etc, etc. So in class 12 we will also discuss about these concepts, but we will discuss in more details. So we know that electricity plays a very important role in our life. Without electricity we cannot imagine our daily life. Starting from the smartphone that we use to the big machineries, everything works on electricity. If for 1 hour or for some time the electricity goes away, then we feel uncomfortable, we feel helpless. So we can imagine what is the role of electricity in our life. So electricity can be considered as the 8th wonder of this modern civilized world. So in this lecture, in the lecture number 1, we are going to discuss about what is the meaning of electric current, how to measure electric current, what is the unit of electric current, and then finally we are going to discuss about the mechanism of flow of electric current. So let's get started. So students, in class 10 we know what is the definition of electric current. So first let me write the definition here and then I will explain it. So current means the flow of something. If water flows in a river, we say that it is water current. Similarly, if air flows, we call it air current. Similarly, if heat energy flows from one body to the other body, we call it heat current. So current means flow of something. Similarly, electric current means the flow of electric charge. So how to measure the electric current? Because electric current is a physical quantity, we must have a formula, we must have a definition to quantify it. So first let me write the definition here. So I can write that the electric current through a conductor may be defined as the rate of flow of charge through any cross section of the conductor, So again, look at the definition. Electric current through a conductor may be defined as the rate of flow of charge, through any cross section of the conductor. So now let us consider a cylindrical conductor like this, and I will define what is the electric current through this cylindrical conductor. So to define the electric current, let me choose any cross section here. Suppose I have chosen this cross section, and this cross section has some area. This will be a circular cross section. So how to define the electric current? Electric current through a conductor may be defined as the rate of flow of charge through any cross section of the conductor. So what is the meaning of rate of flow of charge? It means the amount of charge flowing per unit time or per second. So I will calculate what is the total amount of charge flowing through this cross section in 1 second. So that is the value of the electric current. The amount of charge flowing in 1 second will give you the electric current. So we can have two types of electric current. One is average electric current, the other one is instantaneous electric current. So first we will define what is the meaning of average current. What is the meaning of average current, or IAV? Average current, how to calculate average current? If delta Q amount of charge passes through a cross section of the conductor in time delta t, then the average current is given by I average equal to delta q by delta t. Suppose in a time interval delta t, delta q amount of charge passes through this cross section. So how to calculate the average current? Just take the ratio of total charge which passes through that cross section divided by the total time interval. So delta q by delta t will give you the average value of current. So what is the meaning of instantaneous current? So instantaneous current means the current at any instant. Instantaneous current means the current at any instant. Like in class 11 we had discussed about the average velocity, the instantaneous velocity. Similarly here we will define the average current and the instantaneous current. So while calculating the average current, this time interval is large, but instantaneous current means the electric current at a given moment. It means to measure electric current we have a very small time interval. So I can define this as the current at any moment. The current at any moment in a conductor is known as the instantaneous current. So when we are calculating the instantaneous current, this time interval should be very small. So in mathematical form, how can I write instantaneous current? So I instantaneous is equal to limit delta t tends to 0 delta q by delta t, that is equal to dq by dt. Limit delta t tends to 0, it means the time interval will be very small, very negligible. So when the time interval is very small, so the amount of charge flowing through a cross section will also be very small. So a small time interval is denoted by dt. So delta t means some large time interval and dt means a very small time interval which is very close to 0. And within that time interval dt, if dq amount of charge flows through the cross section, then dq by dt will give us the value of the instantaneous current. Or we can say that the differentiation of q with respect to time will give us the value of instantaneous current. But remember that if the flow of charge is uniform, in case of uniform flow of charge, the average current and the instantaneous current will be same. It means if in every second the same amount of charge is flowing, then average current will be same as the instantaneous current. Like in case of uniform motion, average velocity is same as the instantaneous velocity. In the same way, in case of uniform flow of charge, if the flow of charge is uniform, then average current and the instantaneous current will have the same value. So now we will find what is the unit of electric current. So basically electric current is the ratio of charge to time. So we know that charge is measured in terms of coulomb in SI system and time is measured in terms of second in SI system. So the SI unit of electric current is coulomb per second, or it has a name. The name is ampere. So the SI unit of electric current is ampere or coulomb per second. So I can write that 1 ampere or 1A is equal to 1 coulomb divided by 1 second. 1 ampere is equal to 1 coulomb by 1 second. Now how can we define 1 ampere Or when do we say that electric current through this conductor is 1 ampere? I can write that the electric current through a conductor is said to be 1 ampere if 1 coulomb of charge flows through its cross section in 1 second. It means if 1 coulomb of charge flows through a cross section of the conductor in 1 second, then the electric current through it is said to be 1 ampere. So now we'll solve a question from the formula I equal to dq by dt. Suppose it is given that the charge flowing through a conductor is a function of time, it is not uniform. The flow of charge depends on the time, so q as a function of time is given as q equal to 3t square minus 2t plus 5. Q equal to 3t square minus 2t plus 5. So you can see that the flow of charge depends on the time. If you change the time, then different amount of charge will flow through the cross section of a conductor. Now we have to find what is the electric current. Find electric current at t equal to 3 seconds. At t equal to 3 seconds, we have to find what is the value of electric current. So in case of non-uniform flow of charge, when we are going to find the instantaneous electric current, means electric current at any given instant, we have to use the formula I equal to dq by dt. That is equal to d by dt of 3t square minus 2t plus 5. So if you differentiate this function, you will get 6t minus 2, and the third term is constant, so its differentiation will be 0. So I is equal to 60 minus 2. So you can see that the electric current is also a function of the time. Here we have a time term. So we have to find electric current at t equal to 3 seconds. So at t equal to 3 seconds, what is the electric current? Just put t equal to 3 in this expression. So I will be equal to how much? I will be equal to 6 into 3 minus 2. So 6 into 3 will be 18. 18 minus 2 will be 16. And the unit of electric current is ampere. So the electric current will be 16 ampere. So I is equal to 16 ampere. So we also have some smaller unit of electric current like milliampere, microampere. So milliampere means 10 to the power minus 3 ampere, and microampere means 10 to the power minus 6 ampere. So now we'll discuss about the next topic, which is the mechanism of flow of current in a conductor, and in this topic we will talk about a new term, which is drift velocity. So students, we know that potential difference is very essential for the flow of electric current or for the flow of charge. If I take a wire and if I don't connect any battery or don't apply any kind of potential difference across its two ends, I will not get any kind of current. But as soon as I connect a battery to the wire, I will get electric current. So we have to know what is the mechanism of flow of electric current, or what happens when we connect a battery to a conductor or to a wire. We know that there are different types of current carriers in different medium. If we talk about metals, then the free electrons are the current carriers. In case of semiconductors, free electrons as well as holes, they are the current carriers, and we will discuss about this semiconductor chapter in volume 2. And if we talk about the liquid electrolytes, then in those substances, the positive ions and negative ions are the current carriers. But in this topic, we are limiting our discussion to the mechanism of flow of current in a metal. So in metals, we have a very large number of free electrons, and at the room temperature, these free electrons are not at rest, they are moving. And when electrons move, it means the charge is also moving, charge is flowing, so we should get some current, but this does not happen. In the absence of any potential difference, we don't get any electric current. if you take a wire and don't connect any battery to it, just bend it and make the closed circuit, you will not get any current. Without potential difference, without any battery, you are not going to get any kind of current. What is the reason behind it? Although at the room temperature, in the absence of any potential difference, the free electrons are moving, still we don't get any current. So now we will discuss about the mechanism of flow of current. So let me draw the diagram of a metallic wire. So this is the diagram of a metallic wire, and I have not connected any battery to it. It means there is no potential difference between the two ends of this conductor. And inside this conductor we have a large number of free electrons, and as I had told you that at the room temperature these free electrons are moving due to their thermal energy. But remember that the motion of the electrons is random. It means the electrons are not moving in a particular direction. They are moving randomly in all possible directions. There is not a particular direction in which the electrons are moving. So if I draw their velocity vectors, then you can see that the motion of the electrons is completely random. There is no particular direction of motion. So in this case, what happens if you find the average velocity of electrons? That will be 0. Suppose assume that in this conductor we have n number of free electrons, and if u1, u2, u3 ... un are the velocities of these electrons, then if you take the vector sum of all the velocities, the answer will be 0, because the vectors, when you add them, we have to add them vectorially. So if an electron is moving towards left, the second electron is moving towards right, then these two velocities will cancel each other. So in this metal we have a large number of free electrons, so we'll get a large number of random vectors, and when you add those large number of random vectors, definitely the answer will be 0. So remember that in the absence of any external electric field or any electric field, what happens? The average velocity of the electrons, u average, which is equal to u1 vector plus u2 vector plus ... plus un vector divided by n, this quantity will be 0, because remember that the vector sum of a number of random vectors is always 0. But what will happen if I connect a battery to it? Let us discuss about it. Now I will take the same conductor and I will connect a battery to it. Suppose the left end is connected to the positive end of the battery and the right end is connected to the negative end of the battery, and this battery gives a potential difference of V volt. So the left end will be at higher potential, let us say V1, and the right end will be at a lower potential, let us say V2, where V1 minus V2 will be equal to V. V is the potential difference between the two ends. And when this battery is connected across the conductor, what happens? An electric field is set up inside the conductor, and we know that electric field is always directed from higher to lower potential. So the electric field inside this conductor will be from left to right, means from higher to the lower potential. And if you assume that the length of this conductor is L, suppose the length of this conductor is L, then what will be the electric field? E vector is equal to minus V by L. We know that E equal to minus dV by dr, where dV is the potential difference and dr is the distance between the 2 points. So here we are talking about the potential difference between the two ends, and the potential difference is V. The length of the conductor, means the distance between the two ends or the two cross sections, is L. So E vector will be equal to minus V by L. So when I connect a battery of potential difference V across a conductor whose length is L, then the electric field set up inside the conductor will be this much. E vector is equal to minus V by L. And we know that inside an electric field, the charged particles experience force, electrostatic force. So inside this conductor we have a large number of free electrons. So when this electric field is set up inside the conductor, all those free electrons, they experience electrostatic force. So the value of the electrostatic force Fe vector will be equal to how much? It will be equal to charge of the electron, which is minus E, into the electric field E vector, minus E into E vector. And remember that a negative charge particle experiences force in the opposite direction of the electric field. In this diagram, electric field is directed from left to right, means from the higher potential to the lower potential. So the free electrons will experience a force in the opposite direction of electric field, means the free electrons will experience a force from right to left, means from lower to higher potential. And the expression for the force is this much: Fe vector is equal to minus E, which is the charge of the electron, into the electric field E vector. And what is E vector? E vector equal to minus V by L. So I can write that minus small e, and in place of E vector I can write minus V by L. So that is equal to E V by L. So this is the force acting on the electron. And when an object experiences some force, it experiences some acceleration. So the acceleration of the electron is given by A vector equal to force on electron divided by its mass. Suppose m is the mass of electron, so this will be the acceleration of the electron, that is equal to ev by ml. So the acceleration of the electron is given by this value ev by ml. Now let us discuss about when the electrons are accelerated, what happens actually. So when the electrons are accelerated, so before applying the battery or before applying the potential difference u1, u2, u3 dot 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 un, where the initial random thermal velocities of the electrons. Now when we apply the potential difference, the electric field is set up inside the conductor and all the electrons experience this amount of acceleration, which is given by ev by ml. So when the electrons experience this acceleration, they start to move with some larger velocity. So acceleration means what? Acceleration means the increase the rate of increase of velocity. So gradually what happens? The electrons start to move with some higher velocity. And since this acceleration is directed from right to left, what will happen? All the electrons, they will start moving from lower to higher potential. So they will be aligned in a particular direction. These electrons will start moving from lower to higher potential. But before applying this potential difference, all the electrons, they had random velocities. But after applying the potential difference, all the electrons, they try to move from lower to higher potential because they are experiencing this electrostatic force. So now what happens when the electron is being accelerated from lower to the higher potential? What happens? They experience a number of collisions with the metal ions as well as collisions with other electrons. How? We know that in the metal we have many free electrons, and how do we get free electrons? When an outermost electron of the atom is detached from the atom, then we get free electron. So when an electron is detached from an atom, that atom becomes an ion, and those metal ions, they are also vibrating with some amplitude, with some frequency. So electron is trying to travel from lower to higher potential in this direction, but the metal ions, they are also vibrating about their mean position. So what happens? The electron is trying to move from lower to higher potential, but the metal ions, they are vibrating, so there will be some collision between the metal ions and the free electrons. And also, since we have a large number of free electrons inside the conductor, so there will be collisions among the free electrons. So when the electron is slightly accelerated, its velocity slightly increases, and when it collides with the metal ions, what happens? It transfers its kinetic energy to the metal ion, and suddenly the velocity decreases. Imagine that suppose a body is moving with some velocity and suddenly it collides with some other body. What will happen? The velocity will decrease. Same thing happens here. The electron is traveling from lower to higher potential due to the potential difference, but along its path it collides with the metal ions. And when the collision happens, then the free electron will transfer some of its kinetic energy to the metal ion. So its velocity will decrease. And again, remember that this electric field is continuously applying force on the free electron. It means the free electron is continuously accelerated. So after losing the kinetic energy, it will not come to rest. Rather, it is continuously accelerated. So again, it will try to move with some increasing velocity. So again, after some time, it suffers the second collision. It again loses some energy. The velocity decreases, and again it is accelerated, and it suffers the third collision after some time. So in this way, what happens? The velocity of the free electron increases, then decreases, increases, decreases, increases, decreases. The increase in velocity is due to the applied electric field, and the decrease in velocity is due to the collision between the free electron and the metal ion. So we can say that the velocity of electron does not increase continuously or does not decrease continuously. Rather, we can say that the free electron moves with some average velocity, and that average velocity with which the electrons are moving in the presence of this potential difference is known as the drift velocity. So let me write here the average velocity with which the free electrons travel from lower to higher potential, in a conductor is known as drift velocity, and it is given by the symbol Vd. Vd means the drift velocity. Is that clear? So now we are going to find the expression for the drift velocity. So students, I had told you that before applying any potential difference, the random thermal velocity of the first electron was u1, of the second electron was u2, of the third electron was u3, and of the nth electron was un. But after applying this potential difference or this electric field, all the electrons, they experience this acceleration. Okay. And I had told you that when the electrons are traveling from the lower potential region to the higher potential region, they suffer collision with the metal ions. So suppose the electron suffers the first collision somewhere here, and then the second collision somewhere here. It means the electron gets some free space, some free path between two successive or two consecutive collisions, and we can say that the electrons get some free time between two successive or between two consecutive collisions. This time interval between two consecutive collisions is known as the relaxation time. It is known as the relaxation time. Relaxation time means the time interval available for the electron between two consecutive collisions. Is that clear? And the symbol for the relaxation time is tau. The symbol for the relaxation time is tau. It means for this time interval, the electron is free from any kind of collision. It means the electron is accelerated, continuously accelerated for this time tau. So in class 11, we had discussed about this equation V equal to u plus at, where u is the initial velocity, a is the acceleration, t is the time of acceleration, and v is the final velocity. Okay, so in this case we had assumed that before applying this potential difference, the thermal velocity of the first electron was u1. Okay, the thermal velocity of electron was u1 vector. So when we apply this potential difference or this electric field, what will happen? The electrons will be accelerated, and this is the acceleration, and the time of acceleration is tau. So the final velocity after applying the potential difference will be v1 vector is equal to e1 vector plus a into tau 1. What is tau 1? Tau 1 is the relaxation time for the first electron. Okay, similarly, if I write the equation for the second electron, v2 vector means the final velocity of the second electron will be u2 vector plus a into tau 2. Similarly, if I write the velocity of the nth electron, it will be vn vector equal to un vector plus a into tau n. Is that clear? So these are the velocities of the free electrons after I have applied this potential difference. Now let us calculate the average velocity. So how to find average velocity? V average is equal to the sum of these velocities divided by the total number of electrons, which is n. So now I will find the expression for the average velocity, which is also known as the drift velocity or Vd. So V average is equal to v1 vector plus v2 vector plus vn vector divided by n, where n is the number of electrons, number of free electrons inside this conductor. That is equal to, what is v1? v1 is u1 plus a tau 1. So let me write here u1 plus a tau 1. Similarly, what is v2? u2 plus a tau 2. And similarly, what is vn? vn is un plus a tau n, un plus a tau n whole divided by capital N. Now I will write u1 plus u2 plus un separately. So I can write that u1 vector plus u2 vector plus plus un vector divided by n. And now I have this a tau 1 plus a tau 2 up to a tau n, and I can take a common. So I can write a vector whole into tau 1 plus tau 2 plus plus tau n by n. So we had already discussed that this value is 0 because this is the vector sum of the random thermal velocities. So this quantity will be 0. So this will be 0 plus a into tau 1 plus tau 2 plus tau n by n is nothing but the average relaxation time. So I can write that a into tau. So V average is equal to acceleration of the electrons into the average relaxation time, a into tau. And this average velocity is also known as the drift velocity of the electron. So I can write that Vd equal to a into tau. And what is acceleration? We had just written here that acceleration is equal to how much? ev by ml, e into v by ml. So now I can write that this drift velocity or Vd is equal to ev by ml into tau. So students, we have already derived what is the expression for this drift velocity. So look at this expression. We have this charge of electron into potential difference, which is V, into this average relaxation time tau divided by mass and the length of the conductor. So if we take a conductor, then its length is fixed, and we know that charge of electron is constant, the mass of electron is constant. But look at the term V and tau. V means the potential difference and tau means the average relaxation time. So if we keep the temperature constant, then tau will be constant, because we'll discuss in some next class, or maybe in the lecture number 3, that the relaxation time tau depends on the temperature. Okay, so if I keep the temperature constant, then tau will be constant. So for a given conductor at a constant temperature, E, tau, M and L, everything is constant except V, because I can change the potential difference. I can increase or I can decrease the potential difference. So you can see that the drift velocity Vd is directly proportional to the potential difference V. So for a given conductor, at a constant temperature, the drift velocity Vd is directly proportional to the potential difference across the two ends of the conductor. And remember that the value of the drift velocity of electrons is not that large. It is in the range of some millimeter per second. Is that clear? So electrons, they are drifted with very small velocity inside the conductor in the presence of this potential difference. And since due to the potential difference, all the electrons, they start moving from lower to higher potential, we get some average velocity, some average displacement, and that's why we get some electric current. But in the absence of potential difference, the electrons move randomly. So there is no average velocity and there is no average displacement. Is that clear? So this is all about this topic, mechanism of flow of electric current in a conductor. So students, in this lecture we have discussed about what is electric current, how to calculate electric current, and what is the mechanism of flow of electric current, and the concept of drift velocity. So I hope that you have understood all the topics that have been discussed in this lecture, and still if you have any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section. I will again meet you in the next class. Till then, have a nice day and bye bye.